And we are live. Oh my God, it's always so exciting, when you go live. And but today is especially exciting day because we are actually, going to do something really special. I suppose, you guys have an anticipation to what's going to happen. But, just because, when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about it, there was more than 1,000 people registered for this event, and I can see you all in the chat room, and it's just absolutely fantastic to see you all here. This is just such a beautiful colorist community. And I was wondering, what really brings us together? How come, that we all gather like this and that we really enjoy these moments? And the answer is actually really simple. And it says here on the slide, and it's actually love for color. We are all, in love with color, one way or another. I don't know how that happened and why, people fall in love with color. At least in my case, I think it was just something instinctual. I just always, felt attracted to it. And I believe, actually, I guarantee you 100%, nobody who's joined this live stream today cannot say for themselves that they're not in love with color. So, we all love it. So, this is definitely one thing, that we all share. So, welcome you at the right place. This is the place for color lovers. And then the second thing that we all share, which is interesting as well, is that, we are all going through a change. Each one of us, actually, each person on planet Earth, is going through a change. And the change is constant, but, what happened was that just in the recent months, it was very, very busy change. A lot of things changed, and our job changed a lot. Colorist's job has changed significantly. And the fact is that when something changes, it rarely, actually, it never goes back to what it was before. So, we've just experienced a massive shift in a way how we work and what we do. And I guarantee you, it's never going to go back. It's just going to go in the direction of the change. So a normal human reaction is really to kind of go and adapt to a change. Darwin was absolutely right. It's not about the smartest or the strongest, it's about those who adapt. And, this presentation today is all about how we are adapting to the change. What we're going to do to adapt to kind of, different way of working. So as I promised, I'm going to take you through some really interesting things that are going to make your life easier. But, I wanted to just give you a little bit of a story. And first of all, I wanted to thank to this amazing team, that I was working with. Actually, I just got a message before the stream from a friend who said to me that he met me, 3 years ago in Berlin. And he said, I remember when your idea was just a few LUTs in a folder that you were dragging around. And then 3 years later, you have this kind of, the software is out. And, this wouldn't have happened if we didn't, have this amazing team that, was put together in January. So I really want to thank, to Mark Peterson, Steve Bass, David Lublin, Ray Cutler, Anton Marini, Rahul Somani, Igor Ridanovich, and Greg Cotton. This is the core development team of Color Lab AI. And, almost like if this was a movie, it would have been some sci-fi movie with, crew that I just kind of named here in some sort of spaceship, traveling into the unknown territories and galaxies. And then, what happened was in September, we announced, what we have and what we developed so far. And then a group of 500 people joined us. Okay, this is our factory drivers, and they were ranging from Company Hit 3 and Technicolor and Gramercy Park Studios and Prasad Group and O2 Films in Brazil, and Red Bull. Loads of big companies, but also amazing independent and freelance colorists, filmmakers, and we saw actually a large group of cinematographers and DP joining us, more than what we would have expected normally. I want to just thank, to these people, which I kind of have, really contributed a lot, with their, I'm sorry if I missed anybody out, but these are just people who have kind of, I've been in contact mostly and who have been really giving us a lot of feedback. This is Roberto Negron, Jimmy LaJune, Mike Wolf, Julian Crespi, Nat Jenks, Joshua Pines, Mark Todd Osborne, Nicola Stefanovic, Ian Neisser, and Marcello Ferraris, our top support engineers, Josh Pitok, Jason Bodach, Mike Most, Shaz Dejav, Adrian Turpin, Craig Melville, Thomas Rugis, Jeremy Castillo, Danielle, Kagan, amazing DP from Turkey, Kyle Krama, Dimitrios Papagianninis, I have to kind of pronounce his name, I love that, Justin Ihara, Navin, Thomas, Youssef, Nico, Michelle, Mike, Tony, David, Carlos, and as I said, 450 of you more. It was just absolutely amazing to work with you, and actually what I'm going to show you today is going to be really this achievement we made from the moment we started, in September till today. It's almost like 3 months, and it's really thanks to you guys, and your feedback and your explanation how you work, what you need, that we have created what we have created. So thank you to all the factory drivers. I'm proud to announce that today we're crossing the line, and that we are releasing Color AI 1.0. Maybe one more. Or maybe this one. Wait. It's a huge relief. Actually, if somebody had told me it's going to be this hard to release a version 1.0, I would have never thought. I have done lots of things, man, but I have to tell you, this was not an easy ride. Releasing 1.0 is really, really, really. It's an interesting experience. I have to tell you. Had to happen, I suppose. Had to happen. Oh God, So I want to kind of, take you. Also, one very important thing I want to say, every company has got, gives, their releases names. Android has got some cookies and stuff like this, and Apple has got these geographical locations and stuff. And we're going to be naming them people who we're inspired by. And release 1.0 of Colab AI, it's called Alan Watts. And it's dedicated to really this amazing modern day philosopher. And, you're going to hear more about it, why we love Alan. And actually why we call this event Falling in Love with Color again. There's more coming soon. So this is 1.0 Alan Watts release. I'm going to now just to kind of give you a little schedule to what's happening, what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to show you how to work smarter and not harder, how to work better collaboratively. These are all things that you kind of told us. This is what you needed. You needed, these things. AI is just an enabler, but what we really need is tools that really help us. No matter what the technology is called. And then also we want to make, how to make HDR easy. We have to all work in HDR, and not everything's now going to be HDR for Netflix and Amazon. Everybody needs an HDR. I'm going to show you fantastic ways how we work with iPhone 12 and so on. So you'll see it's getting really, really, really interesting. Basically, just because it's going to be a longer presentation, I want to just kind of give you an overview of all the new features that we have put in, from the moment we announced the first beta till 0.1. So let's see. So, we have improved on AI match, and, we have now 9 factory matching models. This is an area you're going to see improve all the time. We're going to be working on this matching constantly. This is never going to stop. As long as this company exists, we're going to keep improving these models. And think about it. It's a little bit like when you first got Alexa, or Google, and you kind of ask them, hey, Google, can you play me a song from whatever? And then you get completely different and wrong song, and then so it needed some time for it to improve. And I think you have to understand every AI model, every matching, everything we're doing is just going to improve, and it needs constant work. So this is going to be a constantly on us. But we have improved also the way how you can control, and we have given you access now to custom matching models as well. We've improved on camera auto matching. We introduced something which is called Smart Light technology. We are now fully color managed. That means we control image in and out completely, using also with the displays. You're going to see that it's absolutely impressive how this works. We support 2 SDR outputs, the Rec 709 and P3D65, and we support all HDR outputs as well, from HDR10, hybrid log gamma, and Netflix version of P3D65. Also, The DaVinci Resolve 17 direct link is now supported. We are fully compatible with 17. That was a rush, before the release to get that one done. And, it's wonderful. It's just one click. Thank you, Peter Chamberlain. Thank you. I mean, it's just amazing, you were, so gracious to give us, even that extra feature we needed to remove that second click. So thank you for that. Unbelievable. We now support Baselight as well, using ASC CDLs. We are now integrated with Avid. Woo, Avid! This is especially good news for my clients like HBO and, Universal. They are big Avid companies. They will never change, and they really needed this. There's a lot of shows. They don't need grading. They just need a good balancing. So, yes, you can now import it via ALE CDL. We work with Final Cut using Proxy Media. It's great. We can now render, and when you render, you can just relink, and it works really, really well in HDR and SDR. We support Premiere as well with the same thing, absolutely, it works like that. And then we work with Frame.io in HDR. I'm going to show you this today. It's really interesting. I love it. It's such a great way, an inexpensive way, an easy way to kind of step into the HDR world. We have added support for SDR monitoring, and we added support for custom node trees. I'm going to try to show you all of these features through the presentation. We've added a really, really, important, feature for our kind of enterprise clients who move projects around a lot, which is called the relink functionality. So basically, you can just, move project and relink your media, work with proxy media and original media. We have a direct link to ShotDeck as before, and we created a new feature which is called Look Deck. You're gonna love that one. It's kind of, really, I can't believe how something as simple as that can give us so much joy. And then also we have created integration with DaVinci on Linux and Windows. Again, our big enterprise clients, main suites are all Linux. They just needed us to kind of talk to their main suites as well. We got that working. And we added a new control, which is an ASC CDL compliant contrast control. I'm going to show you. It's beautiful. We have now contrast, which translates to ASC CDL. And our printer lights are now 100% exposure accurate. So basically we measured it that, when you're changing printer lights, it behaves like in a film lab. And we have something called dual scopes. Yes, which is also very, very good. And now the main thing everybody asked for. Dado, we love it, but we can't use it because we're using all these cameras. And, God, I tell you, amount of cameras and codecs and formats out there, it's unbelievable. So this took quite some time, and yes, the B-RAW, even though I have misspelled it a little bit there, right? But yes, we are supporting V-RAW in all flavors and formats. Red was already supported, ProRes, Cineform. Remember Cineform from GoPro days. We have licensed Avid codecs, so now you can use original Avid media. Yay! No transcoding. DVC Pro, not sure everybody is using, but you can have it. All the H.264s, it means all the fancy little cameras. HDV, MPEG, HDCAM, and all the other kind of strange, Sony flavors, I can tell you. And again, really big for, big enterprise clients. We do support now every image sequence, DPX, EXR. Okay, you guys probably don't use GIFs, but, there's kids out there who love them. JPEG, PNGs, and that. ARRI RAW is coming this month, probably, or beginning of December. If you go to our website, you can see all the kind of, we listed on our product page. What's our roadmap? We are adding Canon RAW, ARRI RAW, and what else is Sony RAW. All of these three are coming. We're just, adding them one at a time. Yes, so it's all coming. Alrighty, so let's see. Oh yeah, before I start, just want to let you know. We have started Black Friday sale today. For you folks who don't live in the US, it's a kind of big thing. It's everybody just, goes crazy to after Thanksgiving to go shopping and stuff like that. And it's an interesting kind of part of the culture, I suppose. So hey, like what, we're doing it as well, and we reduced the price for $500, so it's a half price, and it starts right now. You can go and buy it right now and basically save yourself $500 for an annual license of ColorLab AI. And then I have another good news. What Steve Jobs would say, and there is one more thing, right? Boom. We have a free version. Yes, so we have now, you told us, hey, we want to test it out, we want to see how it's working before I buy. I don't necessarily just want to go and buy and don't know if it's good for me or not. Absolutely. But what we did is something even better. You get a free version forever. You basically get what we call a demo version, right? That has all the functionality, everything working but the export. So everything I'm going to actually show you today, you're going to be able to do, and you're going to be able to use. The only thing you're not going to be able to do is export, so you can really test it out. But we have one export enabled, which is super important, which is kind of what I think. I didn't want to teach you just to have an app, on your desktop that you can just play with. I wanted to have something that's really useful, and I'm showing you how useful it is. This is the first thing I'm going to show you. You're going to have an option to export the look deck, and it's a PDF. So it's a great way to do it. So, go ahead and download the free version. And then I have another piece of good news. Together with this download, you're going to get a sample project. Okay, it's basically a courtesy of Raw Film. So I want to thank Raw Film for licensing this content to all of you. You can download it, like the clips that I'm going to be using today, you can download as well. So later, if you want, you can rewatch this presentation and just, try to do everything that I'm doing so you can practice and see how software is working using exactly the same media. Also, we're going to have lots of tutorials coming and stuff like this, so you have kind of media that you can start it and you can play with, and you can use exactly the same media that I'm using for tutorials. And I thought it's really, really important when we're training and practicing. So I think it's going to be absolutely, absolutely fun, so go ahead and download that. And now I'm going to start basically with presentation, first on the practical part. What I really want to show you first is how to work smarter. And one of the things, that's very important for us is, how to work smarter as, with a look design. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go and switch to my desktop. There we go. So this is the 1.0. You see we have improved a little bit on a graphical user interface as well. It just looks a little bit cleaner and nicer. I have in the background here a DaVinci Resolve 17 open, and I got timeline ready. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go and say Resolve import, and it's going to fetch everything. And basically the first thing you need to do is you need to tell it, hey, what's my camera, and I'm going to say, yeah, it's a red, it's an IPP2, and straight away, I get an image looking correct. So basically it's already in the Rec 709. So what I do then is basically I want to show you this trick is I can do on my keyboard 1, which is flat, 2, which is the 709, and 3 where I'm applying a Charlotte, and 4 where basically the matching is going to come. So you always have a control how to do things, So what I actually really thought, when I get a job to design a look, to create a look, I always start with some references. It's really the best way how to, communicate color, talk color, understand color, is really to use some sort of references. So we have created this area here, and look at it almost basically I would like to describe it like a Spotify for your reference images, right? So what I always wanted to do is I have always collected images, but it's always hard to organize them. So what we did now is we made this kind of library for images. And then, you can tag them. So you see, I have tagged some blue images and, some city images. And by the way, this is what you can have in demo version working all the time. You can build yourself a little library, you see. So I have some cold looks, right? You know, then I have some desert looks. Oh, interesting, you know, so I could, for example, try to see, hey, let me see how this, for example, look is going to, you know, be transferred to my shot. So I just press S for match from still, and then what I'm going to get, oops, it's a nice look, you see, great, right? Nice. Then what I'm going to do is, like, you know, I can then maybe go like a, you know, like, let's see, like I maybe have some warm images here, right? So let's see, maybe want something like this. Let's see how's this one gonna look, you know, if it's something a little bit warmer, right? Nice, you know, so it's also like, you know, so what I really like is before I start, you know, I want to get some ideas. I don't want to, like, you know, just, you know, randomly just adjust it. I want to see, like, you know, what could be there for inspiration. Is there anything that I could use for inspiration? I also want to show you what we enabled now is like a more advanced way of doing it. So let's say, for example, let me just reset this particular look so that you see what's happening. I can go into match settings, and here I have custom settings, right? And then I go into custom and I say, look, I don't want to match my contrast, brightness, and saturation. I only want to match color from this image. I'm not interested in anything else. Just give me color. So, you know, you see I have only selected yes for color, and that gave me SSE, but my contrast stayed constant. And this is a great way because I don't really always want to match, you know, something from still image. I only want to take an idea. I want to take like something, you know, that's really interesting in that. So basically, like, you know, it's a great way how to start, you know, look development. So you have got this kind of, you know, little library. Now, how do you build these libraries? And I have to show you this as well. So, you know, we have this button called Shot Deck, you know, here. And when you press this button, it's going to take you to the Shot Deck website. And, you know, so for example, there I can say, well, you know, give me some exterior shots and I want them to be, you know, something orange and yellow, right? And then you get like these things. Then you build your deck, you know, you say, oh, I love this, I love that. So for example, you see, I've just built myself a deck called Arizona because this particular bike, you know, shoot was shot in Arizona and I picked up some interesting Arizona looks. You download it. You bring it into Color Lab and you say, okay, let me now import my stills. And then, you know, let me see now, probably in my downloads, there is my Arizona. I select those clips, right? And now I can go ahead and create a new tag. And tags are better than bins, by the way, because you can have shot with more than one tag. So, you know, you can really combine it. So think about it that basically with tags, you organize your shot. So I'm going to just kind of organize your stills, right? So I'm going to call this Arizona. Okay. So I can then go into these shots that I just imported, right? And I can just drag and drop them and make them all be tagged Arizona. Okay, so now I have, you know, some sort of, you know, good reference images I want to, you know, as a starting point. You know, let's do with these ones as well. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to then build a mood board. And a mood board is, think about it, is a little bit like, okay, out of my library that I just created, I want to kind of, you know, bring some shots that I think are you know, cool, but, you know, they are not necessary, like, you know, it's like a selection. Think about it. If you're like in Spotify, you have your playlists, but now, you know, you have a, you know, dinner and someone's coming around and you want to make a specific playlist just for that evening. So what you do is you make a new playlist where you're pulling songs from your other playlists into that one. So basically a mood board is just that, a place where you kind of, you know, can just create like a little kind of, you know, think of looks. So what I can do now is I can say, okay, let me see this look. How's this one gonna look? Maybe this one's a little too dark. But by the way, you know, we have something called options. So when you click on options, right, it's going to give you an array of different things. What it did now, it used our custom model. But you see, like, you know, I could, like, you know, use, for example, just the contrast, you know, I could, you know, match it perceptually, you know, like this, for example, theatrically, you know, these are all different models. Now, if it happens that you don't see the right model, the reason why is we just made it a little bit smarter now how you control it. You have now here this button which is called more choices, and what happens when you do more choices, it gives you basically a whole new array of options. And with B and N on your keyboard, you can just go through it and see whether any one of them is one that you think, you know, could be all right. By the way, if you go into your preferences here, or we call them project settings, you know, and you go into smart match, you can set here which setting you want it as your default. I usually use smart, and then I can switch on and off those that I don't use all the time. For example, when I'm working on kind of, like more like a commercial style, I don't really need a lot of dailies, but then I'm working dailies, I need more dailies and balance and so on. So basically you kind of can just limit the amount of, models you want to use, at the same time, but you can still get access to them through more options. And there is a really important feature here we added, which is called avoid saturation CDL control, which is something that we were asked by the visual effects companies because they're not allowed to change, visual effects when they're in a saturation when they're matching. And by the way, you can work both sprinter lights and lift cam again, and you can select that, how this matching is gonna work, okay? Now that's a kind of, really, really interesting thing. Now, what you would then want to do, you could say, well, you know what, I want to also go now, I understand now possibly that this could be a good look, right? But I actually want to start in a traditional way. And I understand that this is maybe a look I like, the tonality I like, something maybe like this or like this or like this, right? But what I want really is I want to start working with my LEDs, and we did something really special here as well. Okay. So, I that I'm a really big fan of film stock emulation. I've been doing it, God knows for how many years. But, now that we kind of moved into the kind of big iron of post-production, we really had to offer something that is a little bit different, like something that's, quality, and something that they don't have, themselves, or if they do, they don't have as much, is not as practical as this. So what we included is a new type of profiles. So let me explain what these are. So look, for example, if I go now and I adjust maybe this look, and this is usually how, cinematographers work, and this particular feature, I have to tell you, comes from the input we got from cinematographers who have been on factory drivers and who want to use this. And I encourage cinematographers to do so, because in reality, today you are so limited to what kind of image you're going to give, just through camera or lens use or light use. You do need some level of post-production, and Color Lab AI is giving you that. You can totally make looks and create looks without really getting too complicated like that. This is why the cinematographers love it. And one thing they told me, they said to me, look, I really always, I'm very careful about my exposure, right? By the way, if you always press tilde, it's going to take you to the scopes. And the new feature on scopes as well is if you click on the scopes, you have now split screen, and this is the view I like. So basically this is your, reference on the right, and this is your, source on the left. So let's go back to show look. So what we got is profiles, so we have but one thing which is very specific about them is they do not change the exposure. Okay, so they really wrap themselves around your image, and they give you that kind of really clean, emulation look without really affecting the exposure. You probably know that when you apply a film light, everything kind of goes darker, brighter, things change. But check this out. So especially really what's interesting, look, this is the first time I was able to really compare it like this and really see the difference. What happens when you're using film stock of different, exposure, of different, sensitivity? So for example, look, I have here Eterna 160. So look at, what's happening with the highlight. You see how it's kind of, how lower, exposure, or sensitivity kind of, has influences the highlight, right? Now look at the 250, there is more detail in highlight. Look at 500, there's even more. And it was the first time I was really able to see side by side why you want to choose maybe working with stock that has a little bit of a kind of lower sensitivity, because that way you are really controlling these highlights very well. So look at it, I have some sort of print stocks, and we have some great Kodak stocks. Oh my god, that was a good look. There we have all the Vision 3, almost all, and then even a reversal. and even a kind of Kodachrome, and then the standard print. But you see the quality of these particular, you know, profiles is just something, you know, that you know, I personally, you know, have not had it like this, you know, and I'm so excited that finally, you know, we are at this kind of beautiful place where these profiles are just, you know, getting us a little bit more realistic to what it would have been if we had shot on film. It doesn't replace it by all means, it's just a basically situation. I really love this look, for example. Right, I say, okay, you know, this is maybe the one, and you see I already adjusted a little bit of my contrast and stuff like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, this is my reference, and I just press A, and now the model is going to go and analyze the footage, and it's basically going to go and give me the match. Now, you know, this matching is really like, you know what we think is going to help us, and as it improves and it gets better and faster, I think it's just going to, you know, like really save us a lot of time. And there we go, you know, now we have basically, you know, some results. This one, for example, I like, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just a little bit my printer lights here. So let me see, when I put, again with tilde, I can see the comparison. So when I press printer lights, I'm just going to go and increase a little bit printer lights. What's great news about printer lights is that they're in a printer points, and 12 points is exactly one stop. So it's measured. When you do 12 points is one stop, and when you do shift and control, you can be like, you know, finer about it. So you see, I'm just going to basically increase a little bit of the exposure of this one and say, okay, maybe this is the one I like. This one's looking good, this one's looking good, this one's looking good. You see, the reason why they look a little bit like that is because actually the system analyzes the whole shot. So you see, because, you know, there is like a light in it, you know, system found a place where, you know, the exposure should actually be matching, right? And then you see basically the difference, right? So this is flat, Rec 709, right? This is just to show that, and this is the adjusted match. Like again, you know, 709 match, right? This one here, okay, it looks a little milky. So what we do now is we're going to press enter. Okay, now we have different versions here, and I'm going to go through the versions, and yeah, I think this one perceptual or copy only. You know, I think I'm just going to use copy only, actually. It's pretty good. And then maybe I just want to adjust it a little bit because, you know, my reds just need to be a little bit more warmer like this. So see, I just kind of give it a little touch up like this. Okay, fine. And you know, like also these controls are super sensitive, and if you press all, they get even more sensitive. So, you know, it's really easy to work. And here, this one, I'm gonna go and adjust this. By the way, these were, as you can see, shot with the drone cameras. And again, you know, they are basically, you know, pretty well matched, you know, to the rest of the footage. Okay, so now I'm good. So what I want to do now is I want to communicate this now to the DP first. You know, I don't necessarily want to progress with the work. And this is the second thing, like, you know, I want to show you is like, you know, how to work better collaboratively. You know, the job of colorist has changed, and now even more. Like, we work almost completely remotely. Like, you know, there is hardly any attended sessions anymore. We work a lot from home. And we were going to probably stay, many of us will stay at home. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to communicate really well with our clients. And also we have to understand color is not something that just happens like, you know, and you kind of make it and then everybody loves it. No, it's a teamwork, it's a team effort. Cinematographer has an idea, director, client, producer, sometimes even a studio, you know, like everybody, you know, has to be involved in color decision process. It becomes much more important now than ever that we work really well in a team and that we can do so remotely. So this is the reason why we build this feature, which we call Look Deck. So let me go back into my reference stills, and I'm going to go and basically say, okay, I'm going to add this still to current project, and this still to current project. These are kind of my references I picked up, you know. Let me see, and also maybe one from Arizona, you know. Did I use this one, you know? Okay, I have maybe this one. Yeah. Okay, I got it, and then this one. Okay, and this one, I'm gonna add this one. So let's say 4 is enough. All right, so I have added them to the project. Now look what happens. You just go to this PDF export button, you click on that, you give your project a name, you know, my Biker in Love. Okay, And then I want to basically use my reference look, reference still is my current projects. And then I want my, contact sheet as well. And then I can here include some notes. This is an amazing look, I think, whatever, you can just write anything you want. And then you press export PDF. Okay. So what happens is following. Let me show you. Boom. So now I'm just going to go quickly to my place where I exported them. Okay. PDFs. And this is the banker in Love 24th. Okay. Here we go. Check it out. So you get the PDF. This is your reference look. You get all the color palette calculated for it. You have nicely the title here, right? You have basically date, logo, right? These are your reference images you used for the creation, so you can show, hey, this was my inspiration. This is where I took the inspiration from. And this is the whole sequence. This is a contact sheet for the sequence. So before I send it, to anybody, I really want to just send you a little bit of a PDF and you guys can then see what's happening. And then at the end, this is an amazing look, I think, the message to everyone, and now you just email that. And then everybody involved now knows what's happening. They can comment on it. They can see the looks, So I think this is such an easy way to communicate your decision, to exchange very quickly, like, hey, what do you guys think about this look? It saves you all the exporting, rendering, and all of that. We'll come to that part, exporting, rendering as well. You see it in a minute, like, we did something great about that as well. So I think this, by the way, when you start using, you're gonna love it, because it's just such an amazing way of kind of very quickly, communicating and looking really professional as well. Like it's this kind of beautiful contact sheet. And by the way, this is all included in a demo version. You don't have to buy software to use this part of the functionality. Now what I want to do is I want to send it to Resolve, because let's say I'm ready, to grade and stuff like this. And I want to show you a couple of things how that works. So what we improved now is that, we are able now to send versions. So those versions that I was choosing from, now I can send them as well. And then, by the way, I can also use a custom node tree. So basically, I like to kind of maybe expand my node tree and do stuff like that. And I can totally do that, with a custom node tree inside DaVinci. I can load one, I make one in DaVinci, export it as a DRX and import it into this. But one trick I want to show you, which is really important, especially for you folks who have to work for Netflix shows that have to deliver in HDR and that need to work in what we call a scene referred color space. Now, it's just a great feature, that just, you really need to have this. So instead of like exporting and viewing everything in Rec 709, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Alexa Wide Gamut Log C as a space. And now I'm going to do Resolve Export. Okay, now check this out. Resolve 17, you just press export. If you remember, guys, we had to go and we had to say, hey, refresh LUT and do this. Boom, everything one click. I go back to Resolve. I come here and everything is is moved here. So you see my first node is CDL, 3D LUT, but the whole timeline still stays in log C. So then what I do, I would now add all of my, like a node tree to it. I would append a node tree to it, with all the secondaries, but then I go back into my timeline. And in timeline, I can then put grain, I can put my halation effect, I can put some sort of, texture filters. And then here, what I can do is I usually use these ARRILUTs. I can just go and say, oh, give me that, log C to 709. And there you go. You have now Rec 709 output in your timeline, but yet your timeline remains scene referred. So yes, you're going to work, HDR, sorry, you're going to work, Netflix compliant, they request you that you work in a camera log space. So now you have converted all of your cameras into unified color space log C, and basically everything is staying in log, and you can do that. And why you want to do that? Because look, I can just click on this, replace this LUT, and now I'm in HDR. And now I can go into Dolby Vision and I can start mastering Dolby Vision with that. So actually, you know, for our high-end users, we have really been listening to you. We really understand that you need a custom node tree. You work very specific way and you want to stay log on your timeline so that you can basically have the highest latitude possible and you can do everything, you know, like that. So I hear you and we're totally with you. All right, now what I want to show you is another great feature, which is basically, you know, a second biggest problem we had was this. Okay, now you have this great look here and you want to send your client an image, a movie, right? Something, you know, let's say you just want to send them like, you know, a QuickTime file. And you want to know that when they look at that QuickTime file, that it's going to look correct. You know, what does mean correct? Well, it should look exactly like it's looking at your, you know, computer. You wanted them to know that they are seeing the same thing that you are seeing. So for that reason, we have built in column management fully into it, but we made it very simple. Okay, so let me show you. It's very, very, very simple how we do this. So first you go into your project settings, you go into display and color, and here you select your display color space. So you have three options. You have P3D65, which is the color space I use because I use a MacBook Pro here. So anybody who's on any Mac Pros, MacBook Pros, iMac Pros and stuff like this, they are in P3D65, okay? Then if you're using just you want to match the output of your desktop to your Rec 709 calibrated monitor, then you would use this 709 setting, you know, okay? Or if you're using just a standard, you know, monitor on your Mac, then you're using sRGB, or you're using 709. But you see, each time you do this, your preview adjusts to what it really is going to look on that monitor. But because I'm on this monitor, this is correct view, and I might as well take the advantage of the bigger color space that, you know, P3 is giving me, and I'm going to do that. So what I can do then is I'm going to go and say, well, you know what, in that case, I'm going to be outputting to my P3D65 as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just render this one shot. Let's say as ProRes, native resolution, but hey, let's render it as P3D65 as well. Okay, let me show you then what happens. So when I render this shot, okay, yes, we're going to export and overwrite just in case. All right, let me show you this now. What happens is that whatever you render, okay, it is going to render it in that color space, but with the right meta tags. We have completely built ourselves into or integrated completely in the Max color management system, okay? So what is really, really happening is this, you know, guys. So look, if I now open this QuickTime file, and I'm just going to scale it a little bit so you see it better. Okay, so let me just scale it a bit. Let me show you. So my desktop file and my preview here look 100% identical. So now you know that as long as your client has got macOS Catalina or Big Sur, that they're going to see exactly the same thing that you see, as long as they didn't fiddle around with your computer settings. Because Mac is going to take care of that. Apple has got most fantastic color management. We just had to really integrate it and make it very simple, that it's just one click. But what happens is that, you know, if I have for example, Rec 709 display, Apple would adjust, you know, the look of this image for the Rec 709 display so it still matches. So basically it still kind of, you know, works as if it's a Rec 709 or P3 or sRGB or something like that. So then Mac is from now on managing these files for you. And that is really thing. So as long as your client has got a Mac, and trust me, 90% of them do. Many do. Many people love to use Mac for emails, so you just send them a file, and as long as they are on Catalina, they're going to see exactly what you see. There is no problems with gamma shifts, nothing like that. Everything's working absolutely fine. Let me just go through my notes to see what else I need to cover. Okay. Alrighty, so next thing I want to show you, oh yeah, I want to now go into this kind of story with HDR. So look, you know, HDR so far is great, it's fantastic, and we're using it, you know, almost entirely for our, you know, Netflix shows and Amazon shows. It's become like a really standard, but now we are about to embrace you know, reality that there's going to be HDR outside of these big streaming channels, and that is primarily to this little device called iPhone 12 that is just, you know, HDR certified, Adobe certified screen, and it does look amazing. You know, it does, that screen does look absolutely beautiful. So let's say this, I have now basically created these things. For example, I'm doing dailies. You know, I'm just doing a dailies. I just created quickly these dailies, and I want to send them now to DP to review. And I know that DP's got an iPhone 12. And I'm going to say, hey, listen, since he got iPhone 12, why don't I send him a HDR version of my dailies? Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to go and say render shot. Now you see, I'm still here viewing in P3D65. I've changed nothing. So all I need to do is I need to say change my color space to HDR10. And I'm just going to go and change this to be H265. This is basically the best format for, you know, HDR over the internet, right? And I'm going to render this. All right, so let's do this. So what is going to then happen is following. Now, Color Lab AI is going to take your SDR look. It's going to translate it into HDR for you. You don't have to do anything, right? It will basically do this. And this, you see, I have not used HDR monitor for this. You know, I can connect HDR monitor to my output. And by the way, we're doing soon, hopefully next week already, training on how to calibrate your LG screens so they are accurate, you know, because they seem to be the best option for HDR monitoring at the moment in terms of the price performance, so that you can get like easy access to HDR monitoring. But you know, even if I don't have an HDR monitor here, we can actually really do this translation for you. And as long as your looks are not extreme, they're not too bright and too dark, we're really, really good at it. So that means you don't have to necessarily worry about it. You just have to click on this and say, okay, you know, I'm just going to render HDR format. Now, again, what happens? Check this out. If I now open this with QuickTime, again, okay, all right, let me just go click it. Open with QuickTime. Okay, check it out. It's a HDR file, okay, but it looks absolutely normal and SDR on my display because my display is SDR. And this is what I'm talking about, this kind of Apple's, you know, color management. So I'm just going to go and bring to show you on an inspector. So look, on an inspector, it says here, yes, it's a HDR file. It's BT2020 and it's a PQ. But what Mac does, it reads that metadata, knows that my screen is SDR, so it looks absolutely normal on my screen. So you see, I can now send this file, and anybody who hasn't got HDR screen is going to see it as HDR. But the easiest way to see it in HDR, I find, is basically to use the Frame.io. So what I'm going to do now is I'm basically going to go to Frame.io, and I have already uploaded this file earlier to Frame.io. So just didn't want us to kind of to slow down the demo. And look, because this is my SDR screen, it basically, you know, looks correct in SDR. Again, it took this HDR file and converted it for preview in SDR. But now I'm going to connect to my basically, let me just quickly open and connect to my iPhone 12. Okay, so I'm just going to go and say file, new movie recording. Okay, and let me just go and say that is iPhone. So hopefully it's going to connect to it now. It was connecting earlier. There we go. And I'm just going to open this one. It needs my Face ID. Okay, here I am. Check it out. What's happening here is that it recognizes that I have a HDR screen and it's giving me HDR tag. And unfortunately, I can't show you like my iPhone with the camera. It doesn't look any too nice. But if you haven't, just try to do it yourself. Just put it on a Frame.io and you're going to get perfectly translated HDR dailies for somebody to view it on HDR screen if they have HDR. So actually, you know what? There is gonna be plenty of jobs who don't need that, you know, very precise finishing, trimming techniques that we normally use for Netflix, you know, drama content, who just need a HDR. There's gonna be tons of people, you know, who do digital marketing, who want to take an opportunity if they can and show their content in HDR to people who have iPhone 12 or a similar device that's capable of doing it. And with this, we are enabling you to do that. You can just basically render stuff with the right color management, and it's just going to basically absolutely fit and work, perfectly. So I'm super proud of this. I always, wanted to make HDR as simple as possible, and I'm so happy that Frame.io was just so forward thinking, and that they were ready the moment the new phone was out, that they were basically able to kind of get it all working, and everything's just absolutely fitting. And I just, as I said, this is the future. This is the way how we want to work. This is the way how we want to try to make our transition from HDR to SDR as simple as possible. And then on that note, I just want to show you one. I showed you the smarter match. Oh yeah, I didn't show you the smart match and smart looks. I want to show you that very quickly. I knew that I kind of potentially have missed something. Let me show you this. So basically, look. If I go here to gallery, okay, what happens is, like, for example, if I kind of like this look, I just press G for grab to gallery. And then, oops, I didn't show you my desktop, but anyway, like I'll let me just quickly switch to it now. So my desktop only. Okay, there we go. All right, so look. So I have a gallery here. So if I like this look, I just pressed G and I save this look into my gallery. So look, I can have here now all the different versions of my look as well. But what's really interesting, this is not just a look that you saved. I can actually, for example, use this look just to copy, or I can right mouse click on it and I can say match shot to this look. So actually this is what we call a smart look, a look that you can use to actually use as a reference for matching. So you can, actually create and build a library of smart looks, and we are really, 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 we really, really love that, we are expanding, what LUTs were doing. LUTs were just, always giving you the same look, right? But with the smart look, you're getting a look a lot, but with an adjustment, so it actually matches to what your reference is supposed to look, and not just kind of give you a random, result. So, that's a really, really, really a good feature. Okay, let me see what else, if I missed something. I think I showed you smart looks. I showed you look deck. I showed you, how we're seeing the same look. I can't believe, look, guys, I have to tell you, what we can do is we work really well on Apple, and we've managed to kind of get this in control. So, and this is an Apple software as well. So you don't blame me, like when we do the Windows version, we're going to do our best to do similar level of integration. But right now, just enjoy it, because if you have Mac and you work with it, it's just going to be such a beautiful, you don't have to worry about gamma shifts anymore. Hey, no more gamma shifts, just open it and it's working, oh my God, I love it. I showed you Frame.io dailies as well. Oh, this is the slide I wanted to show you for the end, and this is from my dearest, kind of Josh Pines. And it says, and rest assured that all of the most successful projects each had to suffer through their 1.0 release. Guys, there is so much more we wanted to put into this 1.0. There is so much more we have coming, but we had to cross the line. We had to cross the line, and we had to say, no, we're releasing it. This is now it. This is our first version. Let's go with it. And I'm super happy and I'm super relieved at the same time. And I want to thank Josh, for actually last night saving me, literally with this message. He kind of brought me back into, some sort of, gave me some sanity. I'm here also now just to check, a little bit your questions and answers. I think we have about 8 minutes left, before our times run out. Please let me know. Oh, Blake is with us. Blake, I'm going to be in touch after the call, to follow up on your request you made earlier. So you see, I was just waiting for the software to be released. No problem. So Radek is asking, could you please address console compatibility? Oh yeah, so what we have now is we have Tangent coming, so probably in a week or two, And so that is going to be a biggie one, you know. Let's see. Oh, Rob is thanking us. Thank you. Oh, Michael is here. Great. William is here as well. There is. We've been chilling it. We've been putting it. I think it's a good moment. It's a good moment for us to kind of,
Congratulations. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you all for the support. We appreciate all the factory drivers who were with us all this time, and they're going to continue being with us. And thank you, Mark, for being the best partner ever.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going to go with the bottle.
Let me have a little sip. Yeah. It's usually birthdays, anniversaries, and now we're including the major releases where you can start drinking in the morning. Oh, this is not a champagne because of COVID. We're not getting many French wines, so this is something from Malibu here, but it's actually very good. Guys, I would encourage you to do the same. You know, there's always good reason to celebrate, so you might as well. So yeah, so I'm going to be, coming to you more with kind of more tutorials. You'll see at the moment, we haven't quite linked everything, so it's all coming, and more interesting features. Check out our website. There's tons of stuff coming up, new updates. Factory drivers, I see you back in the factory driver room. We're going to continue, as kind of Mark said this morning, I'm really looking forward to 1.01. Actually, the work, it does not stop, and yeah, guys, I really hope you're going to enjoy it. Go ahead and download the free version, play with it, and if you like it, subscribe to it. It's a really great deal at the moment. We'd love you to see you, be part of our community. And yeah, on that note, before Ivana goes and drinks all champagne by herself, I'm going to take one more sip. Wish you all the best, and I shall see you all soon. Everything's coming. Julian, thank you very much. Jeff, Craig, Blake, Igor, oh my God, and Darren is there. Darren will speak next week, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening or whatever, wherever you are. And yeah, I hope to see you all soon on the next stream. Actually, just to put it in a diary, December 10, we have a Michael Cioni here. We're going to dive deep into the HDR workflow with Frame.io. Okay, bye everybody, and see you soon. Bye-bye.